People-pleasing, conflict avoidance, and overgiving have been my deepest karmic wounds to heal in this life. These patterns have been really pervasive for me, and they've actually been some of the most harmful patterns for not only me, but other people in my life. And so in this video, I want to compare the expressions of people-pleasing and narcissism, which might sound a little bit strange, but it was when I looked at these behaviors through this lens that I'm going to describe that really allowed me to understand the harmfulness of both expressions and allowed me to realize that actually servicing myself is a great service to others. So if you're a people pleaser who's been struggling with some of these dynamics and patterns and you're kind of ready to step out of them, this is a great little short video for you to watch. I hope this perspective helps you as well. But looking at people pleasing and narcissism through this like lens of energy, vibrational expression, they are polar opposite expressions. Being a people pleaser on the very extreme end, one could say, is being completely selfless, no self. While narcissism on the extreme end, or the most extreme end of narcissistic tendencies, would be complete selfishness, all self. And everyone tends to kind of fall somewhere on this spectrum. There's certainly not one end to the other. I feel like for some of my life, I was like pretty on this far end of people pleasing, of selflessness, because that's kind of what we're taught, people who maybe are people pleasers, who avoid conflict. You just want to keep the peace. So you overgive, you want everyone else to be happy. There tends to be this like story that we carry with us that it is this selfless approach to life that is of service. And that is, that is true. I want to talk about that in this video. I don't want this to be mistaken as like, you should only choose yourself, you should only care about you, because that's obviously not healthy either. And that's kind of the point of looking at these expressions, like the overtaking, the overgiving. Life is unsustainable in both of these dynamics. If one is overtaking more than they are giving, then eventually there's not going to be any more to take, and life kind of stops at that point. And vice versa, if one is overgiving and not receiving enough back, like you can even think of like any type of life here, an exchange of energy that takes place, that thing's eventually going to die. So from this angle of like sustainability, to be sustainable, we need this equal balance of giving and receiving between all relationships in life, nature and like human relationships and all kinds of things. So this experience, and it's a feeling that you have with people, or other dynamics in your life, that the exchange of energy feels equal. And as soon as it becomes, and it probably dances in and out of balance depending on the relationship, maybe there's a chapter where you're receiving more, but then you're giving more, and it all balances out in the end, and that's the goal. But for me, and I imagine some people watching this video have kind of been in the overgiving side of life for a while, and you're realizing maybe that it is unsustainable, and that is because it is. And from this lens of vibration, I want to I invite you to think about your energy field, because you are actually not solid matter. You're not physical. And I know that's kind of like backwards to how you experience your life, but you are an ever-changing array of vibration, and you have an energy field that emanates from your body. And this energy field is a composition of all of these different systems inside of you, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your behaviors. All of these things are a composition of your energy field. And when you are in a state of like low self-worth, or anxiety, or feeling exhausted, burnt out, even resentful. That was a big emotion that I felt in my strong people-pleasing days, like resentful towards other people who asked things of me. Like I would say yes, but it would just be out of resent. I started to get angry, and I'll kind of talk about that in a moment. But when you're in these states of like not feeling like it's self-abandonment, actually, to basically say, I don't matter. I always have to put other people first. I always have to put the needs of others first before myself. You are abandoning yourself. And that creates this like energy field it's quite honestly unsustainable, not thriving, not vibrant. I think of someone who is like really healthy and operating in society in a really healthy way. That to me translates on all of these like levels of their experience as someone who's like wildly in love with their life, someone who feels so worthy, confident, secure, safe, open to other people, and just like in love with life, excited to be alive, like feeling energy like bubbling from them. Like that type of energy field is very different than operating from a place of just defeatism, of self-deprecation, of abandoning the self. And, looking at the fact that our society collectively is just a composition of all of our energy fields, who do you think contributes to society in a better way? Who do you think is actually of service to society? The like healthy, thriving person who's in love with life, aligned with their heart and what they want to do and values themselves, or like the people pleaser who is maybe like on the verge of just burnout and doesn't, angry, resentful, maybe suffering from codependent relationships and overgiving. Like what energy dynamic, what energy resonance do you think is actually of service to other people? Well, it's going to be obviously the one that's in love with their life, and that requires you to have a sense of self. And so this idea of like service is selflessness is like can be really, really distorted. And I invite you to actually think about how service to yourself is like service to others, and you actually pursuing a life that is aligned with this heart, like what you actually want to do with the people who actually nourish you and give back to you, cultivating those types of relationships, saying yes to the things that you authentically want to say yes to, saying no to the things you don't actually want to do. That is going to help you live this life that you are in love with. And that place, like if we create a society where everyone's just in love with their lives, we would create so many amazing things together. But it takes every single person choosing that for themselves. And what's really interesting about people pleasing and narcissism is it both stems from an inability to validate the self, and needing to seek external validation to know one's own sense of worth. And I know that maybe you don't think of narcissism that way, or narcissistic tendencies, like they are all consumed with how important they are. But here's the truth of the matter. If someone genuinely knows their own sense of worth and their own sense of value, and they can validate themselves, they don't need anything out here to do that for them. They no longer seek it outside of themselves because they have it. They know it themselves. There's no need for someone else to reflect it back to them. And now we can move in ways where we can even approach conflict and like hold our own experience, be open to someone else's, but hold our own experience. And even if they disagree with us, we don't take that as like a stab to our own sense of self-worth, because we know we're worthy no matter what, and you are worthy no matter what. And in fact, the more that I'm able to validate myself, like I can freely move in this world, in disagreements, in, different perspectives, being open while still feeling safe and secure in who I am. And that safety and security that I feel allows me freedom to be authentic with my true opinion about something. Because what I realized too, this like resent, if you're a people pleaser who feels like resentful, like I'm not sure, codependency is probably within some of these other patterns I'm describing on the people-pleasing side of things. And this resent in me started to build up when I was like really in these energy dynamics, because there was a deeper part of me that knew I was worthy and started to get mad at the people pleaser parts of me that would just abandon myself and would not be honest and authentic to what I knew inside. It was like an inner conflict between my true identity, my true essence of being worthy and valuable and wanting to be treated with respect, wanting to be valued by other people, and the part of me that would just like throw me to the wolves and be like, well, that other person's more important than you. And it was like an inner conflict. And that was because there was just this level of mistrust that was developed over the years of like, I did not trust myself to say no, to stand up for myself, to be honest and authentic with what I desired in my life, and to be able to set boundaries. My inability to feel my own discomfort is why I avoided conflict. It's because I didn't want to feel the uncomfortable feelings that would arise if there was conflict in the situation. So I would avoid it. I'd be like, oh, but now I'm comfortable. So I was like really just trying to stay comfortable. And that trying to stay comfortable, keeping the peace out here just created inner conflict inside. And in reality, like being honest, being authentic, being aligned with your true heart and what your heart is calling you, where your heart is calling you, whether that's out of a relationship, changing the relationship dynamics, realizing that something's unhealthy for you, you are servicing the entire world by being aligned with your authentic self. And it takes courage. There will be conflict, but you have the capacity to sit with those uncomfortable feelings, to have that conversation, and to know that, okay, actually we're both just going to find more alignment. And like the more of us who are aligned with our true heart essence and the life that we're wildly in love with, that comes from your heart, the desires of your heart. We are not here to be mistreated. And in fact, my true belief is the more people pleasers who address these patterns, who bring this scale over to the center, there will be less individuals who will even, waste any time trying to validate narcissistic tendencies. Like the narcissistic tendencies will then also have to learn and come more into balance of like, okay, like I can't overtake. And this is just the balance of that the universe is always seeking, energetic balance. And as more people pleasers kind of come to the spectrum of strong self-worth, of loving the self, of validating the self, not needing that outside of you, then the universe will come more into balance, like even on the narcissistic tendency side. So that's like my theory, my perspective. But yeah, I hope some of this explanation or this perspective helps some of you out there who also struggle from conflict avoidance, overgiving, people pleasing. It might come from a really pure place in your heart, but actually it is not of service. It is harmful. And so if you're interested in doing more of this work, like if you desire help, those of you who are ready to leave these patterns and know that you just need support doing that, you can just check out my resources below. I have a 6-week program coming up called Sacred Selfishness that you can learn about and see if it resonates with you, see if you get that heart yes, and would love to join you further. But regardless, this perspective changed my life, and I hope it helps someone else out there.